administration decided to take it out on the blue states on the West Coast. And so $200+ million of necessary programs, a dam in Washington that had to be replaced, will not be upgraded and replaced as a result of a decision that was made to take money away from blue state Washington and a smaller but necessary amount of money from California. Will you restore that? If I give you a few minutes, you'd probably say, we'll do our best. Well, your best isn't enough. The law is the law. The WRDA is the law of the land. And you are required, this administration is required to carry out the law and not to write their own version of it. So, I'll see you next time around. And you better have answers for all of these things. Otherwise, I will unload on you then. This is just a touch. Where are the cuts going?
Tune of millions and millions of dollars, and the left wants to normalize the of bribery. Like, I just cannot get over the fact that we're going to normalize this and we're calling Joe Biden's bribery, quote, a specific topic. No, it's bribery. It's money laundering. It's prostitution rings. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist for putting these theories out there.
I want to respond to my friend and colleague from South Carolina and some of her allegations. This committee of House Republicans have obtained more than 12,000 documents, pages of bank records, numerous hours of witness testimony. And the problem they have is not that they can't get the evidence. The problem they have is that the evidence does not support their allegations. And so why are we going to spend the next few months on a bogus and sham impeachment inquiry? Because Donald Trump wants them to. And Donald Trump has been calling them and urging them to do it because he was impeached twice.
Of unprecedented income and wealth inequality. When people like yourself economically have never, ever had it so good, why do you think it's a good idea to cut Medicaid for low-income and working-class people by $700 billion, to give $235 billion in tax breaks to the very, very, very richest people in this country, perhaps a few hundred families? Explain. A few hundred of the wealthiest families in this country, $235 billion tax break. Explain to the American people why you think that's a great idea.
I think that this will increase small businesses substantially. That most small businesses, they are...
Has zero to do with, come on, you're smarter than that. This is the top 0.2%. This is not a mom and pop store. These are multi-billionaires, and the savings go to their kids after they pass away. This is nothing more than a gift.
What's Mega Mike Johnson keeping from us? Families are struggling, and EBT benefits are on hold. Why are those in need being left behind? Let's demand answers. Food insecurity, EBT hunger crisis, we need accountability. What the uneducated Trump idiots do not understand is if the Democrats signs the Republicans' so-called clean bill, you lose health care for your kids and your elderly parents or parent. Your cost goes up so high you will give it up. Why? Because you cannot pay for it. So again, you dumb asses vote against your rights and well-being just because you want to own the libs. Or because you are a racist who doesn't care if you hurt your own family, because you cannot face the fact you are a nobody, but the most hateful, lowest human beings that walks this planet.
Not forget why this is happening. It's not random. It's not bad scheduling. It's because of that discharge petition, the Epstein files. The one petition Republicans are terrified of, because it could blow open one of the darkest scandals in American history. Johnson isn't stalling because he's too busy. He's stalling because one more signature, Gryvalda's signature, makes the difference between keeping that petition buried and bringing it to the floor. That's the motive. That's the game. Now, legally, motive matters. Courts look at whether an official action is tied to legitimate government interest or to partisan manipulation. Blocking an elected member because you don't like what they'll vote for, that's not legitimate. That's unconstitutional, period. And here's the kicker. If Johnson gets away with this, it sets a precedent. Today it's 1 district. Tomorrow it could be 10. What if a future speaker decides to block entire states from representation? What if they just shut down half of Congress under the excuse of procedure, That's not checks and balances. That's dictatorship with extra steps. That's why this lawsuit matters. It's not just about Adelita Grijalva. It's not even just about Arizona. It's about whether the rules still apply in America, whether the Constitution is still the Constitution, or whether powerful people can bend it until it snaps. So yeah, in legal terms, Mays has the stronger argument, but in plain Rogan terms, this is nuts. The Speaker of the House is openly blocking a duly elected member from serving her district because it's politically inconvenient. If a judge doesn't smack that down, then what are we even doing? Here's the deal, man. This whole thing with Johnson isn't just some quirky little hiccup in the system. It's a stress test for the entire idea of America. Because if one guy with a gavel can just decide, nah, your vote doesn't count, your representative doesn't get sworn in, then what's left? That's the whole ball game right there. We either have representation or we don't. Everything else is just noise.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. During the last shutdown in 2019, it was the first Trump administration, and they made sure that in the second month of the shutdown, SNAP benefits would go out. They had them sent early. Why do you think they shouldn't do that this time?
Well, the president, this administration has done exactly what he did in the first term, and that is bend over backwards to make sure that we mitigate the harm. We explained here yesterday that any administration
to fund part of the government for the full year, as some of the senators are discussing, without a CR to open them.
these rifle shot bills that you keep hearing about deviates from the goal. We have
Democrats who have taken the American people hostage are not going to pay a ransom to reopen the federal government.
Isn't that the only key to end the shutdown? Is to have a sit-down negotiation?
Republicans have nothing to offer to Democrats who are using this for their own selfish political purposes. Plain and simple, that's what it is.
Even from the president.
The president has nothing to offer them. There is literally no issue on the table.
It's a political strategy here. We're not. We're just simply trying to get the government open, and that's why the nonpartisan Clean CR was the obvious vehicle to do that. And so we're not making political calculations here. We're making calculations on behalf of the American people. How can we get the government operating as soon as possible so they can get all these vital services and paychecks restored? And that's what this is about. So, I mean, if you called House Republican right now, we're almost 100%, probably 99.8%, okay, of every House Republican understands exactly why we're in the situation we're in. Are we all anxious to get back to work here for regular legislative session?
I think it's really important to be clear about what Republicans were trying to do here. They were ginning up excuses to actively force 42 million Americans to lose their SNAP benefits when they didn't have to. They were choosing to take food away from 42 million of the poorest Americans while trying to accuse Democrats of what Johnson and Republicans were actually doing. I mean, J.D. Vance actually laid out what was happening really clearly today, believe it or not. Taking a hostage, using food that tens of millions of Americans needed as a hostage.
Over there?
That is what Republicans in Congress are trying to do here. And today, Mike Johnson laid out why. Here was Speaker Johnson earlier today responding to a question about why he wouldn't just move money around to fund SNAP. Take a listen.
Because if you deviate from the goal of reopening the entire government, Chuck Schumer and the radicals over there will continue to play games with people's paychecks, their livelihoods. And if you do just part of this, it will reduce